Hi class, we're back. We're going through Chapter 11, Managerial Decisions in Competitive Markets. I'm going to try to make it through the entire chapter. I don't know if I will be able to with one video. So let's get started. I'll try to be as quick as possible to make this as efficient as possible. We're really starting to bring tools together to build the framework for how much to produce and how much to charge. Everything we've done up until now has been talking about demand, how to estimate demand, or talking about supply, how to estimate supply, talking about revenues, marginal revenue, or cost, marginal cost. In Chapter 11, we're really kind of bringing all that stuff together finally. And now we're really talking about markets, the distinction between markets. If you recall back to Class 1, we talked about differences between pumpkins and cable TV. The different markets that exist. So tonight we're going to talk about perfect competition. Perfect competition, in this environment, firms are considered to be price takers. And that means that each produces only a very small portion of the total market or industry output. Think of those pumpkins as an example here. All firms produce a homogeneous product, which means a very similar product. And entry into and exit from the firm is unrestricted. So, you'd really think that pumpkins, as an example, really are following along most of these points. Here, profit is influenced by what type of market. So, perfect competition is, the reason we're going through these different types of markets, perfect competition being one of them, is to know that profit is going to be influenced by the type of market. And remember, all these models that we have that exist have assumptions associated with them. So as we go through these different types of markets, they're also going to have some assumptions as well. Okay, demand for a competitive price taker. The demand curve is horizontal at the price determined by the intersection of the market, demand, and supply curves. Now this might be slightly confusing, but they're talking about a market supply and demand curve first. Now, remember, when you think about price takers, think about stuff like pumpkins. The point being made here is that your demand for your pumpkins you grow in your backyard is not necessarily going to be a function of supply and demand for that particular pumpkin. It's going to be more of a function of supply and demand for the overall market for pumpkins. Here you're going to see, because of this, that you're going to have a perfectly elastic demand. This means there's a large amount of perfect substitutes. In fact, considering they're homogeneous products in perfect competition, meaning like exactly the same pumpkins, they're perfect substitutes. And because of that, demand is perfectly elastic. Marginal revenue is going to equal your price in this model. So the demand curve is also the marginal revenue curve. And you can sell all you want at that market price. So you're just going to sell everything that you have at that market price. Okay, so each additional unit of sales is going to add to the total revenue by the amount equal to the price. So here you go. Here's your market. Just think of it like market for pumpkins over here, your overall market. And over here is what we mean by the perfectly elastic demand curve. And as you can see here, your demand is equal to your marginal revenue. I definitely think that you should consider the pumpkin example, but if you were going to try something like milk, here's the market for milk, and here's the market for Rosenberg's milk, if you get what I'm trying to say, one particular brand of milk. I think pumpkins is a better one because you can actually start it in your backyard. But the thing to remember here is a lot of the stuff that we're going to see as we move forward is you may wonder why, how this translates with this. And one example that I'm going to use here is a lot of the perfectly competitive firms think of stuff like milk, it does a body good, or steak, it's what's for dinner, or pork, the other white meat. These are all advertisements for certain products that don't advertise for a specific firm. Instead, they advertise for the entire market. That's because the people who are over here don't have market power. The overall market does, however. Something to keep in mind as we move forward. Okay, so how does profit maximization in the short run occur in this market? In the short run, managers must make two decisions. One is to produce or shut down. If shut down, they're going to produce no output and hire no variable inputs. If they shut down, the firm is going to lose the amount equal to the total fixed cost. Two, if they decide to produce, what's the optimal output level? If the firm does produce, then how much are they going to produce? And they would produce the amount that maximizes their economic profit. And this is a relationship we've talked about thus far. Profit's going to be total revenue less total cost. In the short run, the firm's going to incur costs that are unavoidable and must be paid even if output is zero. Variable costs that are avoidable if the firm chooses to shut down. In making the decision to produce or shut down, the firm considers only avoidable variable costs, which is something we already spoke about pretty much ad nauseum, and ignores fixed costs. So the level of output that maximizes total profit is going to occur at a higher level than the output that maximizes the profit margin and average profit. This is one of the things that we came into the course saying, that you shouldn't focus in on profit margin or average profit. You're going to need to focus in on maximizing total profit. And that may not occur at this level. And that's what it's saying here. It's reiterating that point. Instead, managers should ignore profit margin when making optimal decisions. Recall back what average profit